Hello guys, I wish everyone is good and just I finished from my clinic and I manage my patients for today. So as you know, the Indo quiz and the question was about the Pulpotec. There's a huge misunderstanding and confusing about using of Pulpotec. So the question is it good for using Pulpotec for our cases or not? If it's good, what are the indications for using the Pulpotec? There is speech that I heard more than 10 to 50 times from other dentists. They said that the general dentists, they love Pulpotec, and the specialists, they hate Pulpotec. Why? So today my life, the aim of this life is to answering those questions. So first, what is Pulpotec? Pulpotec is material produced by a company that's composed of mainly formaldehyde and dexamethasone and contain also iodoform and phenol. So, scientifically, there's no basis for for the production of the material. So we can say it's a free material that is constructed by a specific company and produced to the market. Okay, so is it a good material for using or not? Pulpotec is contain formaldehyde, and formaldehyde is a toxic material. This is first one. Okay. In next minutes, I will explain in detail why paraformaldehyde is toxic. So about the other component like phenol, which is used for as antiseptic in the material. The second one, dexamethasone, which is a corticosteroid, steroid material, which inhibit the immune system. So for Indo, we hate suppression of the immune system. In the opposite side, we love and we want to activate the immune system against the microbes. So it's the opposite of our idea as endodontists, that we don't want to shut down the immune system. In reverse, we want to activate it. This material will give us the opposite one because it shut down the immune system. And iodoform is not toxic. So the main component that we hated is the paraformaldehyde. Formaldehyde. We have two types of formaldehyde, paraformaldehyde and tricresol. We hear about tricresol, and still nowadays they use it in the college. Unfortunately, I hate this material. It's mainly used as antiseptic for sterilization because it have antibacterial effect. But there's a big problem. What's this problem? The paraformaldehyde is toxic and it's carcinogenic material, so we should avoid it. According to the FDA, Drug and Food and Drug Administration, they announced that the paraformaldehyde is toxic and should not be used in any material, especially in high dose concentration. WHO also announced that the paraformaldehyde is toxic. So the other one, which is about the textbook, here I have Pathway of the Pulp. You can read the chapter of obturation, part sealers, and there is a topic, write down the material and the items. Clearly you can read that formaldehyde is a toxic and should be avoided for obturation of the canals as a sealer or as a obturator material. So maybe you're surprised about that. Maybe it's first time for you, you hear that. But after you hear that it's toxic, you should avoid it. It's not accepted at all. So about my question and about the question of the week in the quiz, what are the indications for using Pulpotec? There is no indication. How could you use Pulpotec if you know it is cytotoxic? It may be produce carcinogenic for your patient. So you should avoid it at all. At all. You can go for the Pulpotec site website. You can easily search in the net, in Google for Pulpotec. It will give you the main site of them. They write down that Pulpotec mostly used for pulpotomy in primary and permanent teeth. Okay, so as a dressing material, they announced that it could be used for those situations. But we have better material. You have MTA, you have biodentine. Okay, so why you go for using carcinogenic material? Especially nowadays, MTA is very cheap. There's many company that they produce MTA for us, and you can choose one of them. It's more efficient, and it's better result, and it's safe. So it's about biocompatibility of the material against our body and against patient's body. And in the same time, in their website, they write down that Pulpotec is dangerous, and you should take precautions when you use the Pulpotec. You should avoid contact with skin, mucosa. Why? Because it burns the skin and mucosa. And you should tell the patient and prevent swallowing of this material. Why? Because it's toxic. So even the company, they mentioned that when you use the Pulpotec, you should put rubber dam and isolate the tooth completely because it's toxic. So why dentists they like the Pulpotec? Let me answer this question. Because of its component, the structure of the material, which contain dexamethasone, which is the corticosteroid, it will inhibit the immune system, and it will reduce less pain to the patient. So I name it as a silent killer. The patient tooth will undergo necrosis, the pulp, and there is bacteria, there is infection, especially in the future, and the patient will not feel anything till it will be large, huge swelling, and it will come to me or to you and complain about the swelling. When you take X-ray, you see that there is lesion and there is Pulpotec. And those type of cases, it's very difficult even for me to locate the canals, because it will calcify the pulp chamber and the orifices will go down. Those type of cases need special facilities like microscope and ultrasonic to find the orifices exactly, and then entering the canals. So my advice to all of you, avoid using Pulpotec. And those dentists, they work in area, mainly I hear that they use out of Erbil and the cities, because the prices maybe there are cheap. They work for the patient in low price, but that not mean we will jump to the unscientific methods and use wrong material. And usually I said that we are human before being a dentist, so we should think first about the safety and biocompatibility of the material that we use for the patient, then you should think about the success rate, because in long duration you will face failure for those cases. The only situations that documented in the articles about the Pulpotec is that when you have cases of direct of reversible pulpitis or focal irreversible pulpitis, that when you excavate the caries, you make a pinpoint exposure. At that time, maybe the material will give you a result for some years, maybe 2 to 3 years or more. But as I mentioned, you should remember that not mean you go for Pulpotec and use this material for your patients because of formaldehyde, which is toxic. And you have MTA powder and liquid. It's the same. You will mix it in minutes. The assistant will prepare for you, and you can apply for dressing the polyp chamber or for the orifice in seconds. So it's easier, it's more biocompatible, and nowadays, as I mentioned, the MTA worldwide is, we have many brands from many companies that you can obtain it and use it. So unfortunately, I received many answers that they mentioned the indications of the Pulpotec. I'm sorry about that. The answers, they are wrong. I hate Pulpotec. I love dentist, but I hate Pulpotec because it harm me and harm the patient's body. So all of us, we should avoid it. And now it's the time for announcing the winner. We have 2 ideal answers from Dr. Bülent Abdussalam and Dr. Ahmed Shingali. They answered the perfect answer. It was ideal for me, and I loved their answers. And the lucky one was Dr. Bülent Abdussalam. He won the gift of this week. Well done, Dr. Bülent. And I hope you got benefit from this live. And I hope you be away from using Pulpotec and be closer to use other materials, especially MTA. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Pardon?
Mm-hmm.